reminder that we love questions from the audience, so you can start commenting your questions now, or you can also add them as we go. I'll be right back on to welcome our guests to the show. Thanks for meeting us for coffee. Hi everyone, we are live from Manifest, the future of supply chain in Las Vegas, and I am very excited to be joined by two other ladies in supply chain to talk about AI and also just take a moment to recognize three women behind a podcast microphone today too. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of work and a little bit of like work-life balance type of topics today as well. So I would love for you ladies to have a chance to introduce yourself to start us off. So please tell us more about who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Anne Holtzman. I am a CSM over at Upwell. I started in the industry with Banyan Technologies about 20 years ago. And I also went from there to Parade for about 4 years. And now I'm here at Upwell for the past few months. I'm going to be making sure that the onboardings for customers are completed with the integrations that we do, and then just making sure that the customer success happens for each of our customers.
Awesome.
Hey everybody, my name is Meg Boaz. I'm with Upwell, just joined as the VP of Revenue. Before that, I actually started in logistics over at TIE Software. So got my start in sales over there, just a newbie, actually knew nothing about logistics, zero. Shadowed a broker, got my feet wet, and really fell in love with the industry and how just like fast-paced it was. So I worked in sales there, then I kind of migrated to partnerships. And then from there, I transitioned over to My Carrier Packets, which turned into My Carrier Portal, where I was the director of business development. So I got my hands on a lot of different things there. And then with the acquisition, it kind of, broadened my horizons, and I got to experience things like this. And so now I'm handling like a multitude of things over at Upwell. So I feel like it's a moving target day to day, but we are a startup. So just, I mean, I dig in wherever I'm needed, to be honest, but it's mostly over marketing, sales processes, and things like that.
Well, I was going to ask about that because you guys have had some recent growth announcements lately that are really exciting. So some new funding rounds like that were secured and things, but also that's being evidenced in the growth of your guys' people. And so both of you are newer to the team, and I've noticed some other cool hires and amazing additions to the team as well. So I would love to know just a little bit more about who is Upwell? What is Upwell doing? And obviously you're doing something right because you guys are growing. So I'd love to know more about like what the company's doing right now.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry. That was
yeah,
me.
that was you.
We had this whole thing planned out, guys. All right. She looked at me and I'm like, that's my cue. Yeah. So Upwell, I feel like we are positioning ourselves in the logistics industry as, you know, a niche product where we're end to end. You know, we're using AI to, you know, power our order to cash platform. So it's basically the magic happens after the shipment delivers. And so we're automating everything from AP to AR, even like post invoicing. So snapshot is, you know, when the carrier documents are going to come in, we're going to take those documents, we're going to ingest them, we're going to separate them out, we're going to identify them using AIs, and then we're going to use AI also to audit the paperwork, make sure that everything's good to go. So carrier information, the rate, and then we're going to attach that over to the customer invoice. So, you know, based upon the customer specifications, what they require to be able to push the invoice out automatically in order to get paid faster. So it's all about just accelerating the cash flow. All those manual processes that the back office is laden with, we're automating that end to end. So once the invoice is delivered, then we're automating things like the statements, the reminders, even, you know, the remittances processes as well. So we're able to use AI to match that up, invoice to invoice, and audit that. And
that's pretty comprehensive.
It is very comprehensive.
No,
I feel like
it is. Like, I don't even know that. Like, I fully understood all of that because I think that there's a lot of. I think maybe necessarily tools that do a lot of different things, and then when they also address like billing, they're doing like, oh, we can get PODs like submitted, you know. So and then they kind of stop there. So you guys are really going like all the way through to the end of that cash flow cycle, which is really cool to hear. And I forgot you've like Banyan, right? You have been doing like you've been in logistics technology. Like that is your background. So you are just like this powerhouse of knowledge in this space, and I'd love to talk more about that. But I want to know, since coming to Upwell and with the evolution of not just AI in Upwell, but AI in the industry lately and how technology has really been transforming. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on AI as a tool or as a way to support operational efficiencies, as opposed to just like a you know, end all be all solution. And also, I mean, there was a time where we didn't even have AI at all, or we were still dabbling with like the beginning of machine learning. So what do you think? What do you think about all this?
Absolutely. So definitely 3 different companies that I worked for and the different technologies that actually were used. I think with the AI, we do a lot right now where we're able to take that information, get it into our system, and then be able to spread it to where it needs to go, right? So if somebody is actually taking time to go put things in a portal, we have the ability to streamline that so technology is taking care of that part. There are so many people in this industry that are so smart and know this industry so well that they're doing these mundane tasks that can automate that, right? Yeah. So we're not trying to get rid of anybody's jobs. We just want you to be able to do what you love doing or what you're really good at, and take those tasks that we can put AI to and get them out of the way so that people can be super successful with what they know.
Yeah, and so keeping humans involved, right? In the solution.
Absolutely.
Keeping them in the loop so that they have that oversight of what's going on.
And I think people are scared too that technology is going to take over their job, and it's not. It's such a tool. I sort of compare it to, if, like for Upwell, an accountant, or somebody doing accounts payable and receivable, they need that extra time to like do what they're good at. So just being able to have that sort of AI assistant to help them, I think makes a real big difference.
And I feel like, you know, people are scared of AI, and we do have like plans or things in place that help you to trust the AI before you just push the button and everything goes to where it's supposed to go. So like we do give you the opportunity to review it, get comfortable with it, and then once you trust the AI, then you can really let loose and let the automation go. But I don't think that, like, you know, to your point, AI is going to replace anybody. It's just the people who are going to be replaced are the ones who are not adopting the AI technology.
Sure.
So it's just going to maximize efficiency. That's what it's all about.
And I want to ask one other question. How has, I'm trying to think back to like my days in brokerage, and it was really important to us that anything that we did back office or with our ARAP communicated easily and seamlessly with our TMS, because that was like, that's your lifeblood. Like that's where everything needs to be able to connect to. So what has that looked like for Upwell, making sure that you guys are like staying agile and being able to be flexible no matter the systems that your customers may or may not be operating within?
Sure, I'll take that one, I guess.
Yeah, go for it. That's your jam.
Yeah, I think, again, always constantly learning and understanding like what customers are looking for within those TMSs, the customizations that they have, and making sure that when we're integrating that we're trying to keep pretty standard, but then also understanding that customer workflow so we can get that right and integrate with it. And just making sure that they have everything they need to be successful. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's always just trying to make sure that we have something simple, and then being able to just continue to understand what that customer needs to get them exactly what they want.
And I feel like, so Upwell does live between the TMS and the accounting, the platforms,
Okay.
So, we're integrated with, things like Aljex, Tide, TMS, Revanova, and we're constantly expanding because, like you said, that is the lifeblood. Like everything has to be seamless. It has to be end to end. You can't have any, discombobulation. So we're always working on new integrations. And as as the prospect comes to us, if this is mandatory, then we'll move it up the echelon. But everything is kind of like synced up to where we have a complete integration, takedown. So.
Meg, you've been talking to brokers for years now, right?
Yeah.
Like from a sales standpoint. I don't think it really matters like necessarily what the technology is. Obviously when we're in sales, we're building relationships, we're keeping up with like what people care about. So what have you seen like lately? What have you seen that brokers are like, oh man, should I be looking at this? Should I be caring about this? Should I be thinking about this? Just what do you hear when you're having conversations with brokers about what they're focused on when it comes to technology or their operations right now?
Honestly, I think as fast as an industry as this is, I do think that, especially on the back office side, it has been slow to move into advanced technology. So I do see a lot of people are finally looking to automate processes where they may be using spreadsheets.
Yeah.
There is some dinosaur that's still there that's lingering. It's hard for people to let go of legacy processes. And I think that more people are just craving automation. Anything that makes their lives easier across the board, not just with logistics, but
Sure.
I think that it's definitely automation. That's the key. It's almost critical now to scale as a broker. You have to have these technologies in place, because if you don't, it's not a nicety, it's a necessity nowadays.
Sure.
So.
I think that this is probably my oversimplified synopsis of what happened. I think when technology and specifically things around automating manual processes first started coming on scene, one, it was pretty time intensive to set up and get going, because we weren't really able to run with kind of more the RPA agent AI type of solutions yet, which are much faster in most cases to set up. And two, anything that's new is usually pretty expensive. So it was cumbersome, it was expensive, it was time intensive. And so we sought buy-in first on things that made you more money. That's why pricing automation took off, right? You can bid more, you can win more, you can get better margins. And then, to your point about we've kind of seen these archaic systems persist in back office, especially in brokerage, which this blows my mind, because cash flow is your everything as a broker, but they're oh yeah, back office,
we'll get to you later.
We'll get to that dead last, I promise.
You've been okay for years.
So yeah, but that's kind of
job.
what happened. And so then we evolved, and we went from just the pricing automation into now there's scheduling automation out there. We're automating phone calls, we're automating carrier procurement and freight matching and all of these things. And now it's maybe we're finally back office can have its moment, and we're able to use Upwell has done and taken advantage of the opportunities out there by using the latest advancements in technology to create efficient solutions that are not overwhelmingly intensive to set up. They're not overwhelmingly, you don't have to be an enterprise company to be able to afford to automate parts of your back office anymore. So.
Absolutely.
Really cool. Okay, well, I cannot resist the opportunity to talk to you both because in chatting before this podcast, we're all moms. We all work remotely and have been doing so for a while now.
Yeah.
And we're obviously all still very involved in the logistics space and the technology space. So I'd love to just hear from you guys on what it's been like over the last, several years as you guys are growing your careers, but also we have obligations at home and we're working remotely from those homes. So just any thoughts, kind of lessons learned, advice on that? Would love to hear it.
Yeah, so for my time at Banyan, I was working at the office. Towards COVID, I ended up starting to work from home and understanding that it is definitely a change. Getting used to working from home and being home 24/7 is something that sort of makes you go crazy a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then you get used to it pretty quick. And I think now it's more trying to turn off one to go to the other is definitely a challenge that you have to overcome.
Yeah.
And then it's looking at work and understanding, hey, I'm only going to put 45 hours into work within this week, right? Or how many hours a day? And you have to sort of set limits for yourself, I found. Otherwise, it is super easy to just one more email. Oh, I'm just watching TV. Let me check my email. And you have to make sure that you're there for your kids and they understand that it's their time.
Yeah.
So I'm guilty of checking my email while I'm at a basketball game, but at the same time, it makes you sort of feel guilty, but you just have to put that balance in there so that you have that work-life balance when working from home.
I think that's interesting because I am very sure that there are plenty of people who don't struggle with that same issue because they're like, oh, I work from home. I can do whatever I want during my work day. But I think, especially in like a startup space, and I also think you guys are very driven women who have been building your careers. I can relate to that. We have the opposite end of that issue, right? Like it's hard to know like where to find that balance and where to draw that line.
Absolutely.
And the startup, smaller company, like that rapid growth phase is very critical, and it is like there's a lot that you have to do, and I've been in that environment before too, and I just remember thinking like, well, you're really not as effective as you think you are when you're burning yourself out all the time.
Absolutely.
So like trying to find that balance is difficult. Meg, what are your...
Yeah, working from home, it's a blessing for sure. There are some things that like I have had to train myself over time. So like if you're home, the dishes can stay there until like you're done. I know it's like driving you crazy with my OCD self, but like she said, it's all about work-life balance. Like it is from whatever time I wake up in the morning, I am all in to whatever I'm doing, whether it be Upwell or whatever. But then also having that shut-off time, I find that like just paramount, because I find, and I've been guilty of this from like a multitude of like different jobs and things like that, but like walking past my office, it's easy to just like slide in there. Before you know it, it's like an hour's gone, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not spending time with my family. But just making sure that like the kids know that once the day is done, you're my focus, and like my kids are everything to me. So the work-life balance, like it's also another like moving target, but like she said, just like making sure that you have like a stopping point and being like, I gotta walk away.
Yeah.
There's always stuff to be done.
Beyond just like work-life balance, you ladies have been building your careers in this space, and so what would you think like some advice would be to other young women who are coming into this space, who are starting to invest in their careers, and specifically within like logistics and supply chain? I know we actually have, I think, continually growing representation of women in this space, and I always tell people that the logistics industry doesn't care what you look like, where you come from, who you are, what you do. If you can like come make a difference and get stuff done, and you can work, and you can like just work hard and like be a part of a team, we are welcoming. I've always found that to be pretty true. So I love that. I think this space is a great one for young women to be considering, but what are some advice that you would give to young women entering the space?
Yeah, I think to me, one of the things that I came in with, I had a really great mentor with Lance Healy in the industry, being able to show me all kinds of things, transportation. So to me, having somebody that can mentor you and make sure that you're doing understanding the industry, always keep learning, because there are so many smart people, like you said, in this industry. Everybody has so much knowledge, and if you just keep an open mind, you can keep gaining. I also love to hire people that are smarter than yourself, right? Having that understanding of maybe something you're not great at, because that makes it a strong team. So always hire that smart person for your team. Make sure that you're constantly learning, and I think feel very confident in what you know in this industry, because I think if you second guess yourself, you can get eaten alive in here, you know?
Yeah, or if you just don't speak up.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I tell people all the time,
Speak up.
you need to be an advocate for yourself, and this goes for anyone, women and men, but just like when nobody knows what you know until you tell them what you know,
Absolutely,
right? Like
yep.
you got to get it out there. You got to find ways to like be, contributing and be vocal about what you're passionate about and what you can contribute to. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the mentorship thing. I have surrounded myself with super powerful women who are just like dominating the industry, and just kind of like using them as like my allies in the network, like asking them for advice and for help, and but also like seizing different opportunities, So for somebody young that's coming up in logistics, in fact, we have somebody right now that's kind of like, I guess, interning with Upwell. She's super ambitious. I think she's amazing, but just helping her kind of like navigate and understand exactly like what we're doing, like giving her as much knowledge as possible, because she's like networking with the best of them. It's awesome. She's like, who do you want me to talk to? So I think, like being a mentor and being there for the young people, and just like also just being a role model too. Yeah.
I think when I think back to like early in my career, I had some mentors, but I had a couple people who you could call them mentors, but more than that, if I had talked to them like once in a blue moon, it was because I called them when I knew they were going to say something I didn't want to hear, and I knew they would say it anyway. And I was like, I can still think about the conversation where it almost felt like over the phone, like slap in the face, but I was like, I had to hear that.
Yeah.
And like it kind of brought me back to like reality and helped me kind of recenter on like self-reflection and like how can I improve in this area. And so I think that's also really critical to go with like the mentorship, and you could not have had a better mentor than Mr. Lance. So I was like, I was talking to him yesterday actually, and he like was like, I saw you're gonna have her on. I was like, oh my gosh, like, so finding someone like that who is willing to just invest and is so like selfless in the education of other people is so huge.
One thing too, I think with Charlie, it's awesome that he brings people in with Upwell, and just having that team that we're able to run things against each other, and having a strong team, and him being able to give us feedback and be very direct about it, but at the same time, his knowledge for the industry as well, and being able to teach us how to be better in the industry is also super powerful. So love that. And in the challenging, like I think he challenges us by letting us go through and do things without having to ask for permission, right? If you're going to make the company better as a person coming up in the industry, I think that's really important as well, is to find somebody that you can work for that's going to keep challenging you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always looked at like new obligations, not even obligations, but like someone's like, do you think you can do this? And I was like, I almost want to say no, but like I try to force myself to say yes, because when you have to force yourself to do something new, right? Like you're going to learn through it. And also, I think you just need to have that like mentality that even if I don't know how to do it, I'm going to find people who probably do, and I'm going to have like, try to learn and figure it out. And that, like by necessity, I expanded my network a lot early in my career by saying, hey, I committed to doing this thing, or I really want to do this thing, but like I've also recognized that I'm not probably the best at that, so help me like learn and grow and be better at that. Also, I think a piece of advice I would give people, and you guys can probably attest to this and would be open to this, I always say just ask someone if they would be willing to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like just start growing a network, and they're like, well, how do I do that? And I said, there was a little period of time between jobs where I took a few months off, and all I did was message people on LinkedIn and say, hey, I think you know things I don't know, and it seems really cool. Like, would you explain to me more about like what you do for 20 minutes? And that's actually what started Meet Me for Coffee. I said, would you like have a virtual coffee with me? And then after like talking to all these people, I was like, man, people are so in our space. They're so receptive to that, and they're so willing to help people learn and grow. And so I always try to like remember that and like repay that kindness. And when especially like a young female comes to me is like, hey, can I meet you? I'm like, I don't care how busy my schedule is, we'll find some time to connect.
Yeah. And the worst is they can say no, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
All right, perfect. I'll move on to the next person.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Anything else that you guys would like to kind of share on the topic of just like women in logistics or working from home or anything like that you can think of?
I mean, find your people, you know, find people who like that you consider a role model and kind of just shadow them, ask them questions, ask them how they got to where they are. Because like you said, the people in this industry are so willing to help. It's just, it's overwhelming. It's amazing. So somebody will be there. Somebody will be able to help you out. But I think just surrounding yourself, whether it be men or women, honestly, I think just as a whole, people are willing to help. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, if anyone is listening and they would like to surround themselves with women like these two women right here, they're both on LinkedIn, so be sure to send them a connection request on LinkedIn. Don't be shy. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you if you guys want to connect with them, start growing your network. If anyone listening is interested in learning more about Upwell and the work that you guys are doing, what is the best way that they can get in touch with you guys?
I mean, you can find us on LinkedIn. You can go to upwell.com. You can always email me directly at meg.boaz, Boaz, at upwell.com.
Yeah, and then you can email me at anne.holtzman at upwell.com as well.
Okay, and then we have one night left here in Vegas. So are you guys going to be around the conference this evening still, or what's there's a concert tonight. Are you guys attending the concert?
Who
wouldn't be?
All right, if anyone wants to listen to Flow Ride with us, let us know. Drop a comment if you'll be attending. So yeah, anyone who's listening in who wants to go to a concert who's at Manifest, they will also be there.
Meet us up. What's up, Dania?
Thank you guys so much for listening in. We appreciate you guys for meeting us for coffee from Manifest.